ladies and gentlemen. Justin Harvey here from the world-renowned show, The Justin Harvey Show. But tonight, I am proud to be doing another show for World Martial Arts Radio Network. And tonight, I have a wonderful Grandmaster Shane Miller. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you. Tell us about your style of martial arts, and I understand that you're a coach and you do many other things. So tell us your story, sir.
Well, I've been a martial arts instructor for over 30 years, and I've taught Taekwondo, Hapkido, Judo, and Jiu-Jitsu, and I've just really enjoyed the opportunity to teach many martial arts students around the Central Florida area, and it's been a wonderful time.
Oh wow. What would you say the differences between Olympic Taekwondo and traditional Taekwondo? What would be the differences for you, sir?
Well, traditional Taekwondo is, we have an emphasis of teaching philosophy and teaching self-defense and self-protection methods. And Olympic Taekwondo, they spend a lot of time on skills such as sparring and forms more for competition and not for real life.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. And how long have you been a part of the U.S. National Taekwondo Association?
I've been a member of the USNTA since the beginning, which would have been in 1999. At the time, I was a fourth-degree black belt under Grandmaster Hackworth, and the organization was formed between Grandmaster Hackworth and Grandmaster Jong-Sung Kim of Korea. And the reason they formed the organization was to create a traditional Taekwondo organization that worked with the original Kwans in Korea, which Kwan means style or original school. And we work a lot with the Chundakwon, the Jungdakwon, and the Mudakwon styles of lineages of Taekwondo.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. And with so many organizations out there, what do you think is the biggest benefit to belonging to the U.S. National Taekwondo Association, sir?
Yeah, Justin, there is a lot of organizations out there, and a lot of them are just, created under one grandmaster. And the biggest thing that we do is, just as I just said, is that we work with the traditional Kwan system. Our goal is to be able to work with anyone who comes from any of the 9 original Kwans that created Taekwondo. We already have a relationship with Chundakwon, Jungdakwon, and Mudakwon, but we're working on having a relationship with all 9 of the original Kwans.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. And with that said, sir, I'm going to take a quick commercial break so we can hear from our sponsors, and we will be back on World Martial Arts Radio Network.
Hi, Stephanie Ma here again with a special report from World Martial Arts Media about LegacyFightGear.com. Legacy Fight Gear is the official supplier to the world's oldest and most respected martial arts organizations. They have been manufacturing high-quality, affordable products for over 30 years. Visit their new online catalog at LegacyFightGear.com today. School owners who want to raise money for their teams can register to get a wholesale account and become a distributor for LegacyFightGear.com. Don't forget to like our official page at www.facebook.com/LegacyFightGear.
And we are back on World Martial Arts Radio Network with Grandmaster Shane Miller. I'm having a wonderful time, sir, so let's continue this. What got you interested in the martial arts in the first place?
The biggest thing that got me into martial arts is I was bullied as a kid, and before I go further on that, is I've noticed that we don't have that answer with our students these days as much as we used to. But my situation was unique in the factor that I went to school each day and I was bullied because I was shy and I was kind of reserved. And so as time went along, I begged my parents to be able to take a karate class, and I was signed up at a class. And the karate class, basically I went to karate class and got bullied there as well. Mm-hmm. And with being bullied at the karate class, I was like, now what do I do now? And somehow I came across Taekwondo, and Taekwondo was different in the factor that it had a lot of traditional philosophy and a lot of going over the tenets of Taekwondo and teaching me integrity and respect for myself and learn how to, stand up for myself. And because I was able to do that, I was able to become a better person through Taekwondo that I never could get in karate. I'm not putting down karate. There's probably a lot of good karate instructors out there. Yeah. But the particular karate school that I went to was just very, very harsh. And I found the Taekwondo school much more giving in the area of philosophy and helping us learn and helping me learn to stand up for myself and be a protector of my own self.
That's amazing, sir. And speaking of bullying, do you think it's worse now that we have the internet in that kind of sense where it happens, not only physically but through the internet as well? Do you think that the internet has made it worse for people to do that now?
I've seen a lot of the stories and I've heard of them, and they do attack you at a mental level. Mm-hmm. And I always there was always a story we used to say. We used to say sticks and stones can break your bones, but names will never hurt you. But there's always a second line to that. There's sticks and stones you'll heal from, but words sometimes can haunt you forever. And even though as a grown man and as a grandmaster of martial arts, I know that I can take someone being critical of me, but maybe my 14-year-old son or my 11-year-old son, maybe they can't. Maybe they're not at that level yet to be ready for that. And a lot of times I think we get into the internet and the social media too early. And I've tried to limit my son's exposure until they're ready and more mature and be able to handle it.
Yeah, because I've seen too many young kids already on the internet have a Facebook or Twitter account that they shouldn't have. And then there's certain ages that I feel a kid shouldn't be using a cell phone, So.
Very true, very true.
But I also learned an interesting fact about you too. You teach both traditional Taekwondo and Olympic style. Do you think these two martial arts complement each other, and why?
I think they do complement each other in the factor that we need, a lot of students need an outlet for a sport to have a good time, to hone their skills and to show their skills. And the thing about traditional martial arts, especially like the classes that we do for adults, like our Hapkido classes, we can't perform those techniques at full power and full speed without maiming or hurting someone very badly. And so the Olympic Taekwondo and a lot of other, even sport karate and other types of sporting contests allow us to use a portion of what we learn, a portion of our skills that we learn in a safe and environment that we can show other masters and other instructors how well we're learning those techniques and those skills.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay, who or what do you think has influenced you in your martial arts career the most? I know we just talked about, you being bullied in school and everything, but is there someone that maybe also inspired you to get in the martial arts as well?
Yeah, like I said, once I had the bad situation with the karate school, I moved on to an instructor that was teaching Taekwondo. My first Taekwondo instructor, his name was David Reidner, and at the time he was a first-degree black belt because, of course, this is back in the early 80s. Ranks weren't what they are now, and we hadn't been 40 years in Taekwondo like we have been recently, 40 to 50 years in Taekwondo in the United States. And learning from him, he took the time just to show me philosophy and show me, what it meant to have a positive attitude. And he used to say to live by the week, which meant to help people. So we'd help we used to say at the end of each class, help each other, respect each other, be honest, and always maintain a positive mental attitude. And, be honest, we found out later on the tenets of Taekwondo, that was integrity. Positive attitude is not technically in the 5 tenets, but it's one of those things. I always say it's the unofficial tenet of Taekwondo, because we have to learn how to respect ourselves and have a positive attitude in ourselves before we can help other people. And Dave really believed in me as a student, and he helped me to get to the point where I started my instructing career. And along with Grandmaster Hackworth, who brought me into my career as an instructor and taught me more about how to teach and work with students, between those two people, they really showed me my way. And Master Reidner, unfortunately, passed away in 2006. And Grandmaster Hackworth kind of picked up where he left off and helped me to become a better instructor. And through a 2-year internship at his school, in between his trips to Korea, he was teaching here in Central Florida. And so he spent 2 years with me teaching me how the ins and outs of the business and the ins and outs of how to do proper philosophy training and how to break down the training that we do.
Oh, wow. And I got to say real quickly, Grandmaster Hackworth is a good friend of mine as well, and I highly respect him. But with that said, sir, in your mind, is there any benefits whatsoever from competing, and what is that, and what is your thinking behind it?
I was never much of a competitor. I've been a coach in a lot of ways, and we took a tournament group to Korea in 1998, which is starting to be a long time ago. But in '98, we took our color belts groups, and I coached them on how to score in doing competition or doing the fighting divisions. I find some kids really take to it, and it excites them, and it excites them more to learn their philosophy and their training along with their competing. And I've been with the sports karate groups, and I've been with the Olympic Taekwondo groups, and both have their place. And just like coming up in this coming next weekend, going to the U.S. Chundaklon Nationals, and this will be my 3rd year there. And I just like the way they keep their rules set, and it keeps the kids safe, because I would hate for us to go back to the way they were in the 70s, where there wasn't a lot of rules, and that way, the way the students are protected today with the proper gear and the proper technique and the proper level of contact, to have fun with it and enjoy it. And like I said, we'll never be hit unless we do sparring or competition. So we're getting used to being hit, so if we are hit in real life, we might be able to either handle it or create a diversion to protect ourselves. But it helps us with our self-defense by being able to utilize a portion of what our skill set is.
Yeah. And when does the USNTA hold tryouts for their national team, sir?
Well, we're waiting until the nationals are over, and so we're looking to do our tryouts somewhere in the end of July. So somewhere in late July, we're gonna set up the tryouts for the 2018-2019 tournament season. My goal is to allow them to prepare them to be able to go to the hopefully the U.S. Chendequan tournaments, the tournament circuit, as well as maybe some of the sport karate tournaments or other taekwondo tournaments that are going to be held at least throughout the Florida area, but maybe throughout the United States, depending on what our financing is.
Oh, spectacular. And with that said, sir, we are going to take another quick commercial break. Here's a word from our sponsors. We'll be right back.
Taekwondo training, fellowship, and spirit. The U.S. National Taekwondo Association is your link to the traditional Taekwondo of Korea. We offer both national and world certifications. Our mission is to provide a fraternal organization for the promotion and preservation of Taekwondo as a martial art. We strive to service all needs of the traditional stylist, from the highest level grandmaster to the beginner student. Enjoy the many benefits we offer: grade and black belt certifications, instructor and master instructor courses, tournament insurance, success seminars, state, national, and international competitions, business support, martial arts supplies, monthly e-newsletter, and private training tours of Korea. Not only do we teach the best techniques, but Korean philosophy as well. We develop the complete mind, body, and spirit philosophy. Visit www.usnta.net to join today.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Ma from World Martial Arts Media, and today I'm here to tell you about LegacyBelts.com. Legacy Championship Belts and Awards is the world's premier manufacturer of custom and cast championship title belts, who supplies belts to the top professional boxing, MMA, and wrestling organizations on the planet. If you're a promoter or collector looking for a high-quality MMA, martial arts, boxing, wrestling belt, or even a belt for a special event, then you need to visit LegacyBelts.com today. Be sure to like us at www.facebook.com/LegacyBelts.
And yes, we are back to tonight's program on World Martial Arts Radio Network. And I'm having a blast, sir.
I'm having a good time too.
This is just like Christmas for me, to be able to interview great guys like yourselves and to hear these stories. So I could do this all day, but let's move forward. What is your personal martial arts training philosophy?
I've said a lot of it, but a lot of mine's mental. I'm 45 now. I've been doing martial arts since I was 9, so I've got about, I guess I'm coming up on 37 years in Taekwondo, a little bit less than the other martial arts that I've been studying, but I started in Taekwondo when I was 9, and my personal training philosophy is to never stop learning. I always found many years ago, and even today, we always find those instructors that they just stop learning. They think they've got enough to teach their school and run their school, so they regurgitate the same thing year after year. And what I found in becoming a martial arts master, which took many years to do that, but it was very interesting to move on from Taekwondo to Hapkido to Judo to Jiu-Jitsu, because it gave you that mindset that you never have to stop. There's always more to learn. So a lot of my students currently are training in 2 and 3 different martial arts at the same time, and I don't think a lot of schools offer that, where the individual martial arts are taught separately. And I just give that opportunity. And the biggest thing is never stop learning, if it be forms, sparring, self-defense, philosophy, education to become a better instructor. You're reading books, you're studying your craft. You're trying to become a better and more focused instructor, but at the same time, never forget that you're a practitioner, that you're a student as well.
Yeah. In your experience, sir, what do you think is the proper age for a child to start martial arts? And, what is too early, and, what is too late in your opinion?
Well, I've had ups and downs with that. My oldest son, I started him when he was 2 and 3, about 2.5, little over 2.5. And because he was my own son, I could do that because I could have time with him throughout the week. I found that a little bit difficult. So I started a Tiny Tigers program when he was starting, and working with other students when he turned 3. And so 3- and 4-year-olds were a very big challenge. And I was in my mid-30s going into this because I had him when I was 30. And just trying to get them to do one basic technique or one basic movement took a lot of time. And what we do is what we would have is a general yellow belt broken down into 10 individual belts. And I found that to be good if you had the time and energy to put into it. And obviously the extra emphasis of it being my son allowed me to do that for a couple of years. My most recent start into the younger groups is to start them at 4 years old and have a program called, we call it Little Dragons because of our our American Dragon Martial Arts Academy, but Little Dragons, which would be 4- to 6-year-olds. And some 6-year-olds can be moved up into the beginner program. They're much better if they go through the Little Dragons program first. And they would call that either pre-martial arts or martial arts for younger kids. And it's still the basic idea of learning one technique at a time and not trying to push on 5 techniques at a time like we would do for an adult or older child. And then our regular Taekwondo program would start at 7 years old, and it can be any age after 7. I've got people that are in their 50s and in their 60s that are taking Taekwondo with me right now. And the proper age, I think, like I said, you can do 3-year-olds if you really have the time and energy, but I recommend 4-year-olds that have already been to some pre-K time. They've had time to be fully potty trained and fully ready to listen, and they're not quite as spaced out. But like I said, the 4- to 6-year-olds, I would keep them separated from our regular kids program.
Oh, that's amazing, sir. Can you tell us about the annual Taekwondo instruction course and how you like to teach it and where people can actually register to actually work with you on this?
Yeah, our instructors course that we're working on with the USNTA, it'll probably be in November this year, and hopefully at my new location in Winter Park, Florida. Like I said, we don't have exact dates yet, but because we're working on getting the materials together. In the past, Grandmaster Hackworth has run the instructor's course himself. This year, our goal is to have several people on staff there for the instructor's course, taking different parts of the course, both the breakdown of what we're doing in the forms, breaking down philosophy, breaking down the business side of martial arts, and why American Dragon Martial Arts Academy is such a successful school, being our head school of the United States National Taekwondo Association, and just showing people the proper way. And of course, the goal is also for them to be able to enter into an internship with a licensed instructor, which is what I did. I spent 2 years in under Grandmaster Hackworth, under a licensed instructor, to learn it from the inside. 2 days is not going to change everything. You're going to get a lot of information, but to be a true licensed instructor, you're going to have to really put some time and energy into learning it. And a lot of us were journeymans. We went out there and we got our classes, and we taught and we taught and we taught. And I started that before I went through a licensing course. But once I came out of a licensing course, I had a much better understanding of how to teach and how to bring the information across to the students.
That makes a lot of sense, and I would encourage anyone that wants to learn to go ahead and do that, people. I mean, you got nothing to lose and everything to gain. So, with that said, sir, are there any books or DVDs that you would recommend to supplement to someone's martial arts training?
My recommendations on books and videos is, varied in the factor that anything will help as long as it's correct. And the biggest thing right now, there's a video series by Senior Grandmaster Brenda Sell that's out there that actually breaks the forms down, move by move and technique by technique. also the proper counts based on Kuki-Wan's adjustment of the forms, and also the Chundaquan background of that of those forms. And those are available through USChundaquanassociation.com or USCKDA.com. And I found those to be very, very helpful for me and my assistant instructors and my fellow instructors. As far as books that are out there, I just recommend just getting a text that the photos are helpful. And then also philosophy books. There's a lot of books out there. I'm not going to really name one because I can't come up with one right off the top of my head. But looking into philosophy and how it's going to make a difference in what you're doing and what's going to push students on to the next level on their spiritual journey as well as their physical journey.
That sounds great. And for our listeners, sir, what is your website address for the USNTA?
That's really easy. It's usnta.net. And a little quick funny story. If you go to usnta.com, you will get the United States Tennis Association. So if you're interested in tennis, put the .com. But if you're interested in Taekwondo, make sure you put the .net. .net. And all of our other information is there. You can email us for a newsletter. You can email us for the information about the upcoming tryouts and the upcoming instructors course. All of that will be sent out by email. And we also have a lot of opportunities just to get more information through that website, because on that website is also our black belt I forget what they call it, the black belt window at the top, and it has videos of each of the forms, not as broken down as Grandmaster Brenda's videos, but these are free because they're on the website, and you can go there at any time and view the Taeguk forms and be able to make adjustments.
Absolutely. With that said, sir, it's time to pay some bills, and be sure to support our sponsors. We will be right back. We are back with Grandmaster Miller, and I tell you, sir, this is just wonderful. Let's move forward, as they say. Where can people go to sign up for the free Taekwondo e-newsletter, for your organization, so that people can stay up to date with what you guys are doing?
Sure. Just go to usnta.net and just subscribe. There'll be a link to click on to subscribe.
All right. Sounds good, sir. And I got a really good question for you here. What is your favorite martial arts film and why?
My favorite film of all time is Karate Kid Part 2. And even though Karate Kid Part 1 meant a lot to me because it came out very, very close to the time I started martial arts, and it showed a person that was being bullied and showed that he could overcome that through philosophy and self-defense training. And so Karate Kid 1 has a lot to do with what the styling of what I did and how I came across, because I didn't go to a commercial school. I trained basically directly with Mr. Reidner, and we might have had a couple other kids in the neighborhood. We always had like 3 or 4 students in our class, and it was never in a commercial school where we had 20 people or whatever. I didn't train with a lot of people, so I got a lot of one-on-one time, and he was like my Mr. Miyagi. He gave me the philosophy to get through life. But going back to Karate Kid 2, Karate Kid 2 was so passionate in the factor that it was all about, he had to protect. They had to really protect people with their lives. And one of the things about being a martial artist is being a warrior. And it's hard to explain what a warrior is unless you're a military person, which I'm not. But I've trained with a lot of military people. And my dad was Vietnam, and my instructor, Grandmaster Hackworth, was in Korea. And the whole idea is that they chose a position to protect the country. But in Karate Kid 2, they chose to protect their people, protect the people they loved, and that's where I'm at. Not necessarily in the military, but if it came down to my life or protecting the people I love, I would give up my life to protect the people I love.
Absolutely, and honestly, there's no other way to be. But real quickly, since you mentioned the Karate Kid, have you seen the new series called Cobra Kai, where they've actually brought some of the original characters back for like a spin-off show where it shows Johnny and Daniel LaRusso years later? And have you seen that series yet that's on YouTube, Red?
Yeah, I've seen a couple of the episodes. I've seen the free episodes so far, and it has really piqued my interest to almost join YouTube Red to see the rest. And I've heard from everybody that it's excellent. And I like the way that they are bringing across the characters to try to get you to understand how the abuse on Johnny was, and how and how also that Danny got kind of caught up in more materialistic things after he lost Mr. Miyagi. And I only saw the first 2 episodes, which are the ones that were free, or 3, whichever were on for free. And the biggest thing is you start to feel sorry for Johnny, because you understand that he really does love martial arts. He loves karate. But we always said, and like I said, that first karate school I went to was so Cobra Kai. It was so, who can beat who? Who's the best? Who cares if I hurt someone else? I have to be the best, and not learning how to work as a team and how to help each other. But at the same time, you got Danny LaRusso, who was always by himself. He was never working as a team. They didn't show him in a light where he was helping others as much. And that's where, other than the factor in Karate Kid 2 where he was giving up his life, but where's the teamwork? There's other parts of the martial arts that we have to talk about, and building teamwork and building working together and make each other better.
Mm-hmm. Because I actually saw the series, and I do agree, and it actually gives you a different perspective of Johnny, that, hey, he's actually a good guy, more than what people actually thought, because you get to see his backstory, and then there's times that you think that Danny's a bad guy because the way he's acting now instead of the way he was, taught. I mean, it's done really really well.
Yeah, and I think it'll also bring forward all the different types of things that happen in the martial arts. I mean, it'll show greed, and it'll show the ones that did have the humility, because Johnny's been humbled, and because Johnny's been humbled, he also you can see his point. You can see how he was either abused or at least mistreated in his karate school, but he thought was correct, and even though and then also Danny with the greed factor. I mean, first thing right out of the boat, he's driving this beautiful car, he's got this gorgeous house and all this stuff, and that doesn't show that humility that we're taught in the martial arts to really live by. And I've been through 30-something years of martial arts where I've seen all of those spaces. The ones that were fighters, and they always wanted to win, and they had some type of abuse from that instructor to be the best. They had to be the best, and they had to push, And then you had the greed factor, where people get a good-sized school, and all of a sudden they don't want to teach anymore, and they want to become an associate or a program manager, and they want to put more money in their pocket, and all of a sudden the quality of the martial arts drops. Well, a lot of that I can see just in those first couple episodes, that a lot of that's going to be shown through that series, and you've had the luck of seeing it.
Oh, absolutely. And before I end the show, sir, I've got two final questions for you, and you can take as long as you need. And I'm actually going to save the best questions to last, because I'm actually sitting here reading, and I'm pondering about it myself. But before I get to my last question, do you have any training advice or suggestions for our listeners, sir?
I've talked a lot about training. I just I want to tell, someone who's going to start a martial arts class either has never done it or only done it on the surface, got a yellow belt and quit. Go back, and if you got a yellow belt and quit, or if you've never tried martial arts because you're fearful of what it is, do your research, find a school that's really self-defense oriented and that they're going to teach you self-defense. And if you're an adult, look for one that's going to be very, very realistic self-defense, give you a good workout, that the instructor's humble. They don't come up there and try to lord their rank over you or say, you have to bow to me, I'm the Grand Master. And, that they treat people with respect. And just because our titles go up and our ranks go up over 20 or 25, 30 years, it's not that we're not the same person. We still are. We're still that student. We're still that 9-year-old boy that, had the confidence to go into that first martial arts class and go to that first sparring class and go to that first self-defense class and learn as much as they can. Take that first trip to Korea. That was one of the freakiest things. I was already a master going to Korea, and I was like, how will they treat me? Will they treat me as a master? Or will they treat me as a white belt? And when I got over there, I was treated as a master, and I was treated respectfully. And, just look for that proper school that teaches, traditional Taekwondo. If they teach Olympic Taekwondo, that's fine, but you got to have that self-defense background, that philosophy, that really heavy ability to bring it across and to make people better people.
Amazing, sir. And one of my final questions before I do my closing stuff for the show, sir. I actually hear that there's an interesting story behind your nickname, the American Dragon. Can you share how you got that nickname with me and my listeners?
Well, we've kept all our interview completely about martial arts, and even though what I'm going to tell you is not a martial art, but it's a very entertaining way to bring across a lot of martial arts technique. And what happened is a very interesting story. Me and Grandmaster Hackworth back in 1996, and this is a long time ago now, over 20 years ago, and we were in our school. We had about a 7,000 square foot school in the Ocoee area, and we had a lot of space to fill up. And we were doing a lot of training in Taekwondo and Hapkido, but we knew we had to add some other value to our school because our rent for that 7,000 square foot space was a lot. And what we did is we sat down and we literally talked to each other and we said, there's a couple things out there, and one of them that's really, they call it the try and true thing out there because we have a lot of space and we're going to start doing shows. And we knew some people that were in this industry called professional wrestling. And both of us had grown up watching professional wrestling, watching them perform their techniques, and we know it's got some choreographing to it, but it's got a lot of athleticism to it, and it's a lot of like doing. And I did a lot of martial arts demonstrations before this, and I said if I could do my martial arts demo stuff, man, that'd be awesome. And so that was one of our options. And we had another guy who was a 5th degree in jiu-jitsu. His name was Brian. I cannot remember his last name for the life of me, but he came over here and he was talking about, full contact jiu-jitsu, and he was talking about something called no holds barred. We know it as mixed martial arts today, but mixed martial arts had not been, that word had not been created yet. And so the other choice was, Shane, Shane, do you want to become a no holds barred fighter? And right at that time in 1990, late 95, early 96, it was very, very brutal, and there was a lot of blood and there was a lot of pain, and people were getting seriously hurt. And I said, well, I've always loved professional wrestling, and at the time the fighters were making maybe $100 a fight or $150 a fight, and wrestlers were out there making between $200, a lot of them were making $200 a match. And it was performance, even though it had some pain to it and it hurt, So we just decided to go with professional wrestling. And when we decided, we opened our professional wrestling organization called the World Wrestling Association, I went on to start my career as the American Dragon as to the school that I was from, the martial arts school called the American Dragon Martial Arts Academies, which is a partner school with the Dragon Martial Arts Academy in South Korea, one of Grandmaster Hackworth's instructors' school in Korea. And so I became the American Dragon, and I became the first WWA martial arts world champion. And I defended that belt up until I switched over to becoming more of a mainstream character and became more of a United States champion, a wrestling champion. And I did that for many, many years. I'm now over 20 years in professional wrestling. And the only really funny part is I've really never made any real money in wrestling. Professional wrestling has never paid for anything, but martial arts has. So professional wrestling was a good way to advertise the American Dragon as the Grandmaster that I am now, but it was a poor way to make money. So it was a good way to get my name out, and people saw me. And to this day, a lot of people are still asking for me to get back in the ring. I wrestled once last year. I've had a lot of inroads for people wanting me to wrestle this year. So I probably will make a return to the ring. I don't know when that'll be, but I want to do it safely and with a conscious effort to really work on my character development and show very good what the American Dragon can do.
Well, I hope I get to see one of your matches because, believe it or not, sir, I am actually a huge wrestling fan myself. So I hope I get to see one of your matches. That would be just spectacular. But with that said, sir, tell my listeners one more time how they can reach out to you, and then I'm going to do some closing statements to close out today's program because we're about out of time, sir.
Well, thank you. Well, thanks for having me on the program, Justin. Yes, for the USNTA, just go to usnta.net. And if you're in the Central Florida area and you're looking to join a martial arts school and you want to train under myself or Grandmaster Hackworth, we have classes in we have a school in Winter Park, Castleberry area, and we also have a school in the Ocoee and Winter Garden area. So we're on the west side and kind of on the north central side of Central Florida. That website is AmericanDragonOnline.com. And like I said, we offer all kinds of different training, including Hapkido. I personally offer Hapkido, Judo, and Jiu-Jitsu. And also we're going to be offering after-school program in the fall. Master Hackworth offers Hapkido and Taekwondo and after-school program in summer camp. But if you're in the Central Florida area and you are looking for a great martial arts school, come check us out. And thanks for having me, Justin.
It's my pleasure, sir. And with that said, I want to say on behalf of myself and World Martial Arts Radio Network, thank you for being on the program. And I want to say to my listeners, this is Justin Harvey. Thank you for listening. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Facebook at Justin Ray Harvey. And we will see you again next time.